I will be presenting to you this morning the activities of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission in the Work Programme 2025 of Horizon Europe. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Philippe Froissart. I am the head of unit of the Policy Coordination and Urban Transitions unit of the Clean Planet Directorate in DG Research Innovation, and I will be moderating this session this morning. So I would like now that we move to the agenda of this Info Day session. I will start with an update on the implementation of the cities mission, and then we will move on with the description of the activities of the different topics that we have in the work program for the cities mission, namely the topics on circularity, artificial intelligence, walking and cycling, and the PCP activity that we have also in the work program. I will also mention at the end the other actions that are not the subject of open call for proposals. The way we will organize our activity this morning is the following. We will have the presentation of the different topics by the pen holders, and then we will have a session for question and answers at the end of the session. There will be plenty of time for that. We have about 1 hour and 45 minutes for this Info Day. About 1 hour will be dedicated to the presentations, and 45 minutes will be dedicated to the question and answer session. And the question and answer session will be on the basis of a Slido. You have here the hashtag for the day. It's hashtag EU Missions Info Days. You have the QR code that you can also use to log into Slido on that slide. And as I said to you, we will collect the questions at the end of the Info Day, and we will try to answer all the questions. The way you will do it, you log into Slido, you insert the hashtag that I mentioned, you click on the room 100 Climate Neutral and Smart Cities, and then you put your questions, or you can also upvote the most interesting question that you find in the list. So this is how we are going to organize ourselves. So I will remind you of the hashtag towards the end of these presentations from the pen holders of their topics. So now we'd like to move on with the next agenda item for this Info Day, which is the update on the implementation of the cities mission. This part is quite important because despite the fact that the topics that we are presenting to you today are not necessarily directly linked to the tasks and activities of the cities that are involved in the cities mission, they are very important because if you are interested in applying, in submitting and preparing a proposals under one of these topics, it's very important that you are aware, fully aware of the development of the cities mission. So if I can have the next slide, please. Starting with the objectives of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission. The Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission is one of the 5 missions that was launched in Horizon Europe in 2021, and the cities mission has 2 objectives. The first objective is to support 100 cities in becoming climate neutral by the horizon of 2030, and the second objective is to take advantage of the experience that will be gained by those cities to help all remaining cities in Europe to become climate neutral by the horizon of 2050. So you see here on this map the distribution of the cities that are participating in the cities mission all over Europe. They are located in all EU member states. In addition to that, we have 12 cities located in associated countries, and you have the list of those cities on this slide. Next slide, please. The way we go about the activities of the cities mission and how we support the objectives of the cities mission is the following. We invite the cities that have been selected in the cities mission to develop what is called the Climate City Contract, which is a document where you will identify the commitment of the cities as well as all the partners taking part in this initiative at local level, regional level, national level, from public part, from sector, private sector part, and that are these commitments contained in the Climate City Contract. The second document that we have is the action plan, where you will list by sector the plans for reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the city. And then the third part is the novelty in this initiative, which is this investment plan, where the cities will list the projects that they need to deploy in order to fulfill their objectives. And the important aspect of the investment plan is that there is also an indication on the investment that is required to support the deployment of those projects. You can have already a good overview of what those cities that have completed their climate city contracts are indicating and are providing in their action plans. For instance, when you click on the link that is on this slide, where you will have access to the action plans for all the cities that have received the mission label. Next slide, please. So where are we so far in the implementation of the mission? A lot has been achieved since the launch of the mission in 2021. We have invited all cities to prepare their climate city contracts, and slowly but surely cities come forward with their fully fledged climate city contract, which is reviewed by the Commission services, which is reviewed by the European Investment Bank. And at the end of this reviewing process, we award the mission label to the cities that have completed successfully the development of their climate city contract. We had a number of ceremonies until now where we have awarded mission labels to cities. The last one to date is the ceremony that was organized at the occasion of the 4th annual conference of the cities mission on the 7th of May in Vilnius. And we have now 92 cities that have received the mission label. That means we are an inch away from our objective of having 100 climate neutral cities by 2030. This is not the end of the cities mission. This is actually the beginning of the real work that needs to take place at city level, because those cities now have to implement and deploy their projects on the ground. And we will be, of course, supporting the cities in this task. Next slide, please. A word on the activities of the mission platform, which is an essential component of the cities mission. This mission platform is presently managed by the Net Zero Cities Consortium and provide quite a lot of support and activities regarding the cities mission. Direct support, technical assistance to the cities in helping them develop their climate city contracts. A range of projects, pilot projects and twinning programs that have been launched as well by the mission platform to the benefit of the cities mission, as well as those cities that are not part of the 112 cities in the mission, but that have an interest in fulfilling and committing to the objective of the mission. You have also in the mission platform a portal where quite a lot of users are registered, where you will find a lot of information on knowledge repository, as well as quite a large number of groups, working groups that are very active. The mission platform has also the task of monitoring and reporting on the progress on the achievements and implementation of the mission. They also organize regularly seasonal schools and workshops. And last but not least, the mission platform has the responsibility over the Climate City Capital Hub, which will provide and which provides already technical assistance, financial advisory services, and help identify potential investors to the cities that want to deploy their projects of the investment plan. Next slide, please. Another aspect that is important in the cities mission is the role of the member states. As you can see, 112 cities that are directly participating in the mission might be regarded as an important number, but it's very little when compared to the overall numbers of cities in Europe. And for that reason, we have developed an activity aimed at supporting national networks in the various member states, which include, of course, the cities from these countries that are participating in the mission, but go even broader and beyond these cities by involving a larger group of cities at national level that benefit from the experience that has been developed by the cities in the mission. So you have here a list of networks that are participating in this initiative, which is managed by the Capacities Project. And if you want to have access to the Capacities website, I invite you to just Google DUT Capacities, and you will get the link directly on the web. And our objective is to have by the end of this process a national network fully operational in all EU member states. Next slide, please. You have here an overview of the different topics that we have in the work program 2025 for the cities mission. You will see that that includes the topics that will be presented to you. But in addition to these 4 topics that I mentioned already in my introduction, I should highlight that there is an additional topic that is related to the Cities Mission Work Program 2025, which will not be presented to you, but because it has been already presented under the Cluster 5 Info Day, which is this topic focusing on zero-emission waterborne transport. This is a joint activity that we are developing here with the Zero Emission Waterborne Transport Partnership and Cluster 5. And because of the center of gravity of the activity, it was decided to locate this topic not in the Cities Mission Work Program, but in the Cluster 5 Work Program. But it is a joint activity with the Cities Mission Work Program. So for sake of completeness, we felt it was important for us to present to you today also the information on this topic. If you want more information on this topic, you are invited to go to the Cluster 5 work program and refer to the info day that was organized a few weeks ago for the Cluster 5 work program. What you have on this slide as well is the budget that is allocated for the different topics, the funding scheme, the expected contribution that will be given to the projects that will be selected, as well as the indicative number on the indicative number of projects that we may be able to select. Next slide, please. So I think I've completed my introduction and the presentation on the cities mission and the overview of the different topics. Now, what I would like to do is to give the floor to my colleagues so that they have the opportunity to present more in detail the activities, the scope, and the expected outcomes of their topics. And I would start with the circularity topic and give the floor to Laura. Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe, and thank you to the audience for joining. This topic was designed with 3 imperatives in mind. First of all, there is very solid evidence out there that coupling circularity and climate mitigation can deliver enhanced benefits in terms of ecological, economic, and even social outcomes. So we really wanted to explore how this nexus between the 2 domains would work in topic and present it as a model to the other mission cities. Also, the climate city contracts themselves coming in successive waves, first 10, and then 20, then 23, the other 39 recently, have shown that cities are struggling sometimes with the decarbonization of industrial sites and linking with circularity imperatives. And last but not least, the multi-level governance that is needed to couple circularity and climate mitigation doesn't often happen. So we wanted to give a chance to test how this multi-governance model would work when you link the actual sites as the problem owners, but also enlarging the circle of the problem owners to the cities themselves that host or are in the vicinity of these industrial sites, and with the involvement of the regions. So naturally, we have joined forces on this topic, both in its design and in its funding, with our colleagues from the Circular Cities and Regions initiative. My colleague Lucie Blondel is connected. You can see her online. And I will move now to the general information for the topic. This is an innovation action because we want to be again at that level of demonstration, providing a valid model for our cities. The budget is 17 million, again, shared with the CCRI initiative. So we expect a budget per topic of 8.5 million. Regarding the specific conditions, this reflects the shared ownership of the topic between the two initiatives. And also our concern that we have as much variety as possible between the types of industrial sectors covered and the geography, of course, involved in these activities. So we would expect activities to be deployed in at least 3 different demonstration sites, and additionally, another 3 different replication sites, each of the 6 located in different member states or associated countries. And of course, as another eligibility criteria, given the double hosting of this topic, we would expect that among those sites, one would be hosted by a mission city, and another one would come geographically from a CCRI city region or territorial clusters. There are links in the topic that provide information on the makeup, a geographical makeup of both initiatives, so you can easily compare maps and geographies. Very important, on the financial setup of the grant agreement, we do ask that the project cooperates with the city's mission platform. This is a horizontal requirement for all topics. And also cooperation is foreseen with the Circular Cities and Regions initiative. This is very important, and explicit mentioning of this has to be seen in the implementation plans of the proposals. Moving on now to the next slide. The expected outcomes. First of all, of course, advances in climate mitigation and research circularity, also in their connection. This is, of course, in line with the new imperatives where we want to achieve those clean and circular cities. Again, the issue of multi-level governance to increase the local and regional competitiveness, but also strengthen capacity for innovation of EU industries. And you will recognize here a clear reference to the Clean Industrial Deal. And of course, we want to see that urban symbiosis, but also that nexus between circularity and mitigation across the various elements listed. Very importantly, while we do not prescribe certain thresholds in emissions reductions or other metrics, we would like the projects to provide a clear target or targets, starting with baseline values for 2030, which is, of course, the horizon of the city's mission. But given the variety of sectors and interventions that we are likely to see in these topics, we did not prescribe a certain level to be achieved, and we leave that to the discretion of the projects. Moving on now to the scope. The activities that are presented here and expected from the proposals all link to each other. We think it's a good coherent whole that would really allow for that industrial, urban, and regional symbiosis to happen. So first of all, we start with gaps, of course, in terms of action plan, practice, and governance. That need to be identified, the setup and deployment of innovative governance and business models, and of course, joint actions in the 3 demonstration sites. A very thorough assessment will be needed to quantify and maybe also qualify, let's say, the climate, but also other benefits that could come from coupling circularity and climate mitigation, with proper consideration, of course, given to the possible constraints and equally important trade-offs. For each demonstration and replication site, we would like to see that horizontal, first of all, governance across sector. Again, we are trying to expand the circle of problem owners and problem solvers. And of course, we would expect a multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder approach. Once the projects produce their lesson learned, of course, they have to make these lessons available to the other mission cities, to the CCRI participants, and of course to all European cities from associated countries and even beyond. So we can convince more cities to engage down this path. And last but definitely not least, we would also expect them to be very proactive when it comes to funding and financing for pursuing these actions, for seeing these action plans to their completion. And in this sense, there are provisions in the topic that ask them that early on, they already take contact with national, with regional public authorities, and they explore possibilities for funding and finance follow-up. That's all on my side. Back to you, Philippe.
Thank you very much, Laura. Before I give the floor to my next colleague, I would like to pick up three aspects that you mentioned in your presentation. The first one regarding the joint topic. Most of the activities that we have in the work program 2025 for the cities mission are joint topics. And that was a deliberate decision from our part in the cities mission, because we have to acknowledge the cross-cutting nature of the cities mission, and we have to acknowledge the fact that there are many other initiatives that can contribute to the implementation of the cities mission. The consequence of having joint topics is manifold. And one of them is, for instance, that you have the possibility to bring together a budget coming from different initiatives, and therefore you maximize the impact of the actions that you are going to be supporting through this joint activity. The other one is on the fact that you also have to relay to the activities of these other initiatives. So you cannot just look at the cities mission work program and the cities mission activity when preparing your proposals. You need also to be aware and look very carefully at the objective and scope of the initiatives that we are joining our forces with. The second point I wanted to mention, as you referred, is the MOU with the mission platform with Net Zero Cities. It is critical, and every project that will be supported as part of this work program 2025 in these various topics will need to sign an MOU with the mission platform with Net Zero Cities in order, again, to maximize the impact of our activities and valorize the results of those projects to the communities of the cities that are involved in the mission. And the last one concerns the eligibility conditions, and the usual question that I will probably answer already, and which we are likely to have in this info day session, is whether or not we are restricting the scope of our activities in these topics to the cities that are participating in the mission, namely the 112 cities. We are not. All cities are available because to some extent, all cities in Europe are fulfilling the second objective of the mission, namely to become climate neutral by the horizon of 2050. But we have some conditions as regard the number of cities that we would like to see from the mission involved in the project. So I invite you to look at these conditions very closely, because they may differ from call to call and from topic to topic. On this last point, I'm very happy now to give the floor to Maria, who will present to you the topic on artificial intelligence. Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe. Good morning to all. In fact, this topic is a joint call between Climate Neutral and Smart Cities Mission and Cluster 4, Digital Industry and Space. And our colleague, Fragiskos Arkondakis, is connected here with us. So for this topic on artificial intelligent solutions for digital twins for urban planning and management, starting with the specific conditions, we expect to see at least 3 cities to be included, and each one of them coming from a different member state or an associate country to Horizon Europe. One of these 3 cities must be one of the 112 EU mission cities. And also another requirement is that if they use satellite-based observation, They should make use of Copernicus and or of Galileo's ETHNOS. And last point is that they should collaborate with the city's mission platform. And this can be formalized since the start of the project through a memorandum of understanding, which should be applied at least with the start of the project. And here we move to the next slide, please. So what we are expecting as outcomes for this topic, we expect that the projects deliver guidelines, recommendations on how to best integrate artificial intelligence applications of digital twins in urban planning and management. We expect to see evidence that there are relevant skills to develop the digital twins and how the developed models and tools could be integrated in urban planning and decision making. And also these digital twins should be tested, calibrated, and implemented in each one of the cities of the proposal. The proposal should also deliver plans for exploitation of project results, for instance, through the smart cities networks, and also they should provide the market analysis to ensure replicability and scalability of the solutions to be developed. We also expect as outcome capacity building, so giving also the opportunity for peer learning and replication of these digital twins in other cities. Proposals should also promote multidisciplinary communities, as this is a multidisciplinary topic, and so bring together all the relevant stakeholder communities like urban planners, IT developers, urban designers, local authorities, citizens, so that to ensure that the digital twins could be applied in different sectors of the urban fabric, like the climate neutrality, infrastructures, including nature-based solutions, the so-called NBS, in urban logistics, in traffic management, for safe and inclusive streets, and others. Moving on now to the next slide, please, on the scope. So the urban planning and management require, in fact, the integration of several data from zoning loans and buildings to overground and underground infrastructure. And this complex urban fabric covers also administrative organizations, flow of goods and services, local cultures. The artificial intelligence opens new opportunities for integrating climate neutrality in urban planning, and can guide decision-making, develop scenarios, predict trends, and engage citizens and involve them in urban planning. In this context, the topic explores the use of artificial intelligence applications to develop digital twins for urban planning. So the scope is that the proposal should demonstrate awareness of state-of-the-art of other existing projects having been funded related to digital twins in Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. And in the same context, the proposal should demonstrate that the developed tools are built and benefit from the results and solutions developed and obtained from EU research and innovation actions. And they should also demonstrate that the techniques to be used are reliable and robust to develop the models for the digital twins. And so in this scope also, the digital twin models should support strategic visions for a climate neutral city, as well as they should deliver, we expect them to deliver energy efficient and climate neutral measures, and be able also to provide real-time monitoring and response and support local authorities and citizens to strengthen the response to extreme events, for instance. In the scope also, we expect to see synergies with the Horizon Europe member states partnership drive urban transitions for a sustainable future, but also with the UTM urban transition mission of the mission innovation. And with this, I give back the floor to you, Philippe. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Maria. Very clear. I would like now to move to the next presentation on active mobility and micromobility devices, walking and cycling, and give the floor to my colleague KG. KG, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, much, Philippe. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. This topic is a joint topic with the Cancer Mission, so between Cities Mission and Cancer Mission, and indeed is about further increase and uptake of active mobility. It starts from the notion that mobility and transport are, of course, key components of everyday life for everybody, especially in cities, but not only. However, they are still a significant source of emissions and pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, and so on. And active modes are a sustainable and healthy means of mobility that can both help with the environmental objectives, with the green transition, but it has as well significant co-benefits on health. Increasing physical activity reduces the risk of obesity, which is linked to many types of cancer, for example. Air pollution is also linked to malignancies, and active mobility, the further uptake and increase of active mobility can contribute to greening objectives and to reducing emissions. More physical activity means as well reducing risk of cancer and chronic diseases, as well as improving the quality of life, for example, for cancer survivors. Therefore, active mobility per se offers plenty of positive returns, but for its further uptake and further increase of the modal share, there needs still to be several factors to be considered and improved. These can vary and range from quality and safety of infrastructure, behavioral change, adequate policies and coherent strategies, as well as making it more attractive, for example, for a longer commute. So through, for example, increasing it better with smart technologies and smart infrastructure. So that's all the dimensions that this topic is trying to capture. It is an innovation action with an indicative budget of 12 million euros, and we expect to fund up to 2 projects. We ask to have at least 5 lead cities and 5 follower cities to be involved in the consortium, established in different member states or associated countries with geographical balance, and half of them should be mission cities. In the context of this topic, lead cities mean cities that have experience and expertise in developing and integrating active mobility policy into sustainable mobility planning. While follower cities are those that are less experienced in this area, but that are aiming to replicate and build upon the successful approaches and best practices of the lead cities. The topic has a technology readiness level by the end of the project of 7 to 8. It provides for eligible cost to be reimbursed as lump sum. And as for the other topics, collaboration with the Cities Mission platform must be ensured. You can go to the next slide, please, with the expected outcomes. Which are linked to the various dimensions that I was mentioning at the beginning. So we expect that proposals and projects at the end would have helped the cities involved advance reducing their emissions from transport by at least 15% by promoting and implementing active mobility policies. An increase on modal share in the follower cities, in particular, an increase on number of daily trips on foot and by bike by at least 30%, an increased integration of e-bikes and e-scooters and other intelligent micromobility devices through the digital and green road infrastructure by extending the work on cooperative intelligent transport systems. And as a feedback to EU research and health and transport policy, the projects will develop a comprehensive EU guidance on increasing walking, cycling, and the use of micromobility and the safety and the connection with the infrastructure in the cities that are involved in the projects. These expected outcomes, as it was the case for previous topics, should be supported by clear indicators with baselines and quantified targets, which are monitored for the cities participating in the action. You can go to the next slide where we can look at the scope with a little bit, we can dive a little bit further into the scope. Proposals should address the 4 components that are mentioned at the beginning. So looking at first infrastructure, to improve the modal share, to improve active mobility, we cannot not look at infrastructure and its quality, its safety, its accessibility. Therefore, we ask projects to have a look at state of the art, an updated state of the art, and the uptake as well of active mobility within policies, programs, projects, as well as their socioeconomic benefits, environmental and health benefits. Then look at fostering multimodality, for example, with connections and linking to public transport, to develop case studies and best practices on active mobility infrastructure. So the first component, it's infrastructure related. Second one is improving integration and modal share of active mobility, looking as well as we were saying at the beginning at health related aspects. So develop a case study on health benefits, in particular for cancer patients, as it is a joint action with the Cancer Mission. Looking at a comparative analysis across the 10 participating cities on the integration of active mobility policies in as well as in transport and health strategies and plans. Demonstration, so demonstrate innovative solutions in the participating cities and testing behavioral change, and then further exchange of knowledge and experience and support in developing active mobility policies. The third component is, say, the smart component and the connection to the digital and green infrastructure. So using and further building upon smart technologies and integration in traffic management systems, traffic light management, linking to back to the new smart infrastructure. So exploring conditions and infrastructure requirement on how to make cycling and micromobility better connected. I mean, this is already the case for example, for cars. So the work on, let's say, connectivity, while cars are more and more interconnected, the work on cycling, so e-bikes, e-scooters, micromobility devices into the design of the smart infrastructure, it's still not at the same level. And therefore, this part of the topic is looking into new ways of connecting these two elements in order to increase its attractiveness, for example, to facilitate indeed the uptake of cycling for commuting or longer distances or within traffic at the urban level. We suggest as well here to have case studies to extend vehicles technology to cycling and micromobility and look into wider uptake of smart technologies and what are the conditions for that to happen. And the last but not least component is, of course, building up. So coordination, exchange of experience, capacity building, training for increasing the uptake of active mobility. Here, projects can involve a large variety of actors. We have put a list of them in the topic, but this is, of course, not non-exhaustive, and it will depend on the structure that the topics will take and how the activities will be shaped. But you can look at different authorities in the transport and health sector, local, regional, national, of course, cancer charities, academia, public transport authorities, shared mobility operators and providers, urban mobility practitioners, industry associations, citizen associations, and so on and so forth. For further references and background information on relevant and linked EU policies and EU documents, you can look further into the topic text. I invite you as well. There are links to previous or ongoing projects and studies that the projects can build upon. And there is also a link. So just the last piece of information for you. This topic is linked to a topic under Cluster 5, which is focused on the safety of cyclists, pedestrians, and users of micromobility devices, which means that the proposals that will be funded on both sides will be invited to liaise and coordinate in the future and collaborate, especially for the safety-related aspects. And I give back the floor to you, Philippe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, KG. In normal circumstances, I have to fight and remind my colleagues about the timing that they have to present their slides. Today, I don't have to do that. You have respected your timing very well, all of you. So that means there will be plenty of time for question and answers. And that's very good because that's the purpose of this type of info session. So thank you to you. I would like now that we move to the next presentation on a new instrument, new to the cities mission, but not new to Horizon Europe or to the Framework Program for Research Innovation, which is this pre-commercial procurement scheme that we have launched in the Work Program 2025 for the cities mission. And I'd like to give the floor to Elena. Elena, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today. So I'm here to talk about pre-commercial procurement, as Philip said, or PCP. We all know that transition ahead is not just setting goals, it is also making things happen. And the PCP is a practical tool that helps us just do that. It lets us support innovation, bring new solutions to the market, and make sure those solutions reflect our values and policy priorities. So the pre-commercial procurement means that public authorities pay for research and development to find solutions that do not yet exist on the market. What makes PCP special is the way it works. It is done in stages. First, companies are asked to design possible solutions. Then, the more successful of them develop prototypes. And if those prototypes are successful, finally, those prototypes are tested in real-life situations. At the end of this process, public authorities don't commit to buy the final product. Instead, they guide the development of promising solutions without distorting the market or picking any favorites. They set out a real-life problem that needs solving, and the market does the rest. Why is it useful? Because it allows cities and governments to push innovation in the direction that matters, whether it is cutting emissions, reducing energy use, or making services more efficient. In this way, PCP becomes a smart way to invest public money, not just to fix today's problems, but also shape the solutions for tomorrow. Next slide, please. So what does it mean in practice for the EU cities mission? Cities are on the front line of climate action. And through PCP, they can actively challenge the market to co-develop the technologies and services they need to meet their climate targets. Imagine cities jointly developing zero-emission last-mile delivery systems, AI-powered tools for energy optimization in public buildings, or modular nature-based solution for heat resilience. With PCP, public buyers are not just customers, they become co-creators of innovation. And what are the key requirements for mission project? Some practical points now, the next slide. For PCP to be supported under the city's mission, it must follow Horizon Europe's PCP rules, which are set out in the general annexes. You will see, as Philip explained, for all of the projects, it needs to be anchored in memorandum of understanding with the mission platform and involve at least 3 mission cities with a lead procurer drawn from the 112 cities already selected under the mission. And the city's mission platform is there to help, providing support for project preparation, scaling, and replication. So what are we aiming to achieve? Next slide. First, we would like to create a demand for climate-friendly innovation. By identifying their needs and pooling demand, cities give the market a clear signal. There is a real opportunity here. Second, testing and adoption of new technologies. Through PCP, cities get hands-on experience with emerging solutions, making them more likely to adopt them later. Third, supporting EU innovators, especially startups and SMEs. PCP opens up public markets to smaller EU players, local players, who often struggle with access. This helps them grow and scale. Fourth, boosting market uptake. By publishing results and aligning with standards, PCP creates a path for wider deployment across regions and sectors. And finally, it reduces the risk of public investment by working with several companies at once, not just one, and because the solutions are tested early in real-life conditions, and we can see what works before investing more. So what is the scope? Let us look at how implementation works. PCP is demand-driven innovation. It starts with cities identifying a common need and teaming up to launch joint procurements. Public funding goes to the buyers, like the cities, not directly to companies, and the companies then compete in an open process, which keeps things transparent and gives different types of suppliers a fair chance. Two aspects are especially critical. First, early market consultation and EU-level promotion. This ensures that the best innovators are aware and can prepare. Second, dialogue with end users, including city teams, citizens, and local stakeholders. This is vital to ensure relevance and long-term uptake. And finally, cities should already be planning for the deployment phase, making sure PCP is aligned with their broader climate and innovation strategies. To conclude, PCP is not just a procurement tool, it is a strategic instrument that allows cities to act boldly, accelerate innovation, and shape the markets of tomorrow in line with Europe's priorities. If we want to deliver on the promise of new climate neutral cities, the net zero economy, and technological sovereignty, we must start investing in solutions that don't yet exist, but must exist. And this is what this call is about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. That was very clear. And I have the vague feeling that we may have to come back to this PCP action because I suspect there might be a few questions from the participants, taking into account that it is a new initiative that we are launching here and is somewhat different than the traditional funding schemes that we are using in Horizon Europe, namely Innovation Action and Research Innovation Actions. But very, very promising tool indeed. What I would like to do now is to develop and present to you very quickly a number of other actions that are not subject to open call for proposals, but for sake of completeness, we thought it would be useful for you to be aware of them. And I will start with the support to the mission platform, which probably is on the next slide. Yes, thank you very much. So the mission platform, we mentioned it already a number of times, is managed by Net Zero Cities and is governed by what's called a Framework Partnership Agreement, an FPA. And under this Framework Partnership Agreement, on a regular basis, we can publish in the work program specific grant agreements, SGAs, to provide support to the mission platform, to the ongoing activities of the mission platform on new issues that we find are important to address at a given time during the lifetime of the implementation of the mission. We have had 2 SGAs in Horizon Europe so far to support the activities of the mission platform, and in the work program 2025, we are opening a 3rd SGA for the mission platform, which will focus on 2 main objectives. The first one is really to support the implementation of the Climate City contracts, looking beyond the preparation of the Climate City contracts and focusing really on the deployment of the innovative solutions on the ground. And the mission platform, to some extent, can contribute to that through the tools and activities that they have already tested and that they will be able to deploy. And the second concerns the fact that we have 2 objectives in the cities mission, and we should never forget about the second objective, which is focusing on the needs of the cities outside the 112 cities that are part of the mission that have an interest in committing to the objective of the mission and reach climate neutrality by 2050. So we would like that in this third specific grant agreement, we top up and increase our support not only to the mission cities that will be deploying their climate city contracts, but also to the mission-minded cities, those cities that are not part of the 112, but that are still interested in joining in. The second block of activity that we have under other action and that is not subject to an open call for proposals is the support to financial advisory services and technical assistance to the mission cities by the European Investment Bank. So we will have a specific administrative arrangement to transfer some funds from the mission work program to the EIB to support specific financial advisory services targeting the mission cities, and particularly those cities that have received the mission label. We have done that in the past, and this proved to be extremely successful and impactful, and we will continue this activity in the work program 2025 with this support to the EIB advisory services. So I think in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to present to you so that you get a complete picture of the different activities and topics that we have in the work program 2025. And I think in the next slide, I will probably remind you of the modalities for interacting with Slido. So we completed the presentation of the different topics. You have now some work to do. I invite you to connect to Slido, to go to the hashtag EU Missions Info Days, to join the event, select the right room, 100 climate neutral and smart cities, and then you can ask your question. And when you ask your question, I would like to ask you to identify the topic that the question is related to, so that we can identify quickly the best person to reply to the question. You can also vote on the questions that have already been put in Slido, so that we can identify the questions that are that have the largest interest, and then we'll take them in that order. It may very well be that we cannot answer precisely your question on the spot. And if this is the case, we will refer back to the participant portal, and we will put your question on the participant portal and the corresponding answer if we cannot provide it to you during this info session, so that nothing will be lost, and we will eventually address and answer all the questions that we received from you during this info session. So now I think we need to move and switch to on the screen to the Slido list of questions. I rely on my competent colleagues to do that. And we can start shooting. It will come. Yes, here it is. So so the questions that you see here on the screen are those that are ranked by increasing or decreasing order of interest, and you can see the little number of people that have voted for the question on the top right corner. And so I will read them aloud to you. The first question is related to the topic on was it the topic on artificial intelligence, CT02? So Maria, the question is whether or not there is an added value to have more than 3 cities involved.
Yes, thank you, Philippe. Thank you for the question. Indeed, this is the requirement to have at least 3 cities involved, but of course it is of added value to have more cities and ensure the European dimension. And of course, one of these cities should be one of the 112 mission cities. Let's not forget that. So my reply is yes. Well,
that's very clear. Thank you very much, Maya. And the second question is to Laura. I think you there is always a question related to the involvement of cities and the requirement that we put in the description of the topic. And I think this one goes to you on the circular topic. Laura, can you reply to that question?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Philippe. The requirement is for one of those sites to be from the list of the 112 mission cities, and another one of those sites to be part of a CCRI initiative as a city, a regional authority, or a territorial cluster. So it's only 2 out of 6 at the minimum. Of course, it would not be a problem if more sites from belonging to cities or regions from the 2 initiatives would be covered.
Thank you, Laura. Can you take also the question regarding the definition of the different economic sectors the demonstration site must cover, which is the 3rd question in the list?
Indeed, here we are not prescriptive in the types of sectors. I mean, you could imagine topics that would deal with the textile sector, topics that would deal with the construction sector. We just ask that a variety of sectors are covered, so they serve as models for other cities that might be hosting such industrial sites. The topic also foresees that the industrial sector itself, depending on its nature, would also connect, for instance, with the energy sectors in the city, with the mobility sectors, with the built environment sectors as one of the sectors and many of the sectors that enable the activities in that industry to be considered. But we expect that proposals will link these sectors in a variety of possibilities and combinations.
Thank you, Laura. So as I was expecting, we have a few questions on pre-commercial procurement. And the question to you, Elena, is whether or not we have already examples of PCP leading to real-world deployment in cities.
Yes, there are examples. One notable case is AI for cities. This is a project of 6 major European cities, including Amsterdam, Helsinki, and Paris. They procured an AI-based solutions for decarbonizing urban mobility and energy systems. So the project followed the process and transitioned into several innovative solutions that were actually deployed by the cities. Those solutions were subsequently procured through public procurement of innovative solutions and scaled via private investment. Another strong example is Europe Wave. So this applied the model to advanced wave energy technologies. Although it was focused on energy generation, its model had a strong urban relevance for coastal cities. And by structuring the procurement in competitive phases and setting clear performance targets, the Europe Wave helped developers move from concept to open sea trials. Now they are going for full commercial deployment. So this shows that there are examples that have become already at the stage of scaling.
Thank you very much, Elena. That's actually very interesting because very often we talk about it as if it were something new and done in isolation, but there are many examples of existing results that we have. And what I would suggest actually regarding the specific PCP action is that what you presented just now, we also send to our colleagues, the NCPs, the national contact points. They will have a brokerage events very soon. And I think it would be very important to provide them with this information so that when they get also from their side questions from potential proposers, they are able to direct them to existing initiatives. So we have questions which I was expecting, and I'm going to take it. I thought I replied to that question already, but I'm going to do it again. The question is whether the topics are open to all cities or whether there are some restrictions regarding the cities participating in the mission, the 112 cities. So I don't know how I have to say it, because every year we get that question. So we must be doing something wrong somewhere. So the topics are open to all cities. So that I want to make very, very clear. Having said that, when you look at the description of those topics, sometimes you have requirements as regard the involvement of cities that are cities participating in the mission, and other initiatives like the one that, for instance, Laura mentioned on the circularity. So be very attentive to that. So all cities are eligible, but we invite you, when you prepare your proposals, to make sure that you also respect the requirements as regard the minimum participation of cities that are participating in the city's mission. So I hope this is clear. The next question concerns the circularity topic. I'm reading out to you, Laura. In addition to climate-related benefits, you refer to other benefits to be captured. What would be included there, and how wide should the analysis be? Tricky question.
Indeed, Philippe, it is a tricky one. But I would refer here to really the inclusion in the analysis and the initial analysis and the assessment that the projects have to provide in the first months of their activities, of the entire value chains as they deploy through the chosen geographies. So it's not just climate benefits in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, but also all the ecological benefits, for instance, that would come from joining circularity and mitigation, the economic benefits themselves in terms of costs, in terms of economies from the reuse of, for instance, recycled materials, the social gains, of course, from these activities in terms of introducing new skills in society, new job creation, and of course the gains in governance, because we know this is one of the blocking issues in many cases for cities, and introducing in the system these collaborative models, right, that would ease cooperation and joint action, not just linked to that industrial sectors, but we hope over time would trickle across other sectors of intervention.
Thank you, Laura. I will turn now to KG, because there is a very inquisitive, very precise question regarding the targets that you mentioned, and what exactly are I suppose the timeline regarding these targets. Can you provide us with some explanation, KG?
Yes, it's an excellent question, because the person that asked it has probably noticed that also in the topic text we have not indicated specifically the baseline and the target. First of all, because the projects can, of course, set that within the frame of the activities they are planning. However, having said that, baseline logically should be the beginning of the project, to measure what is the progress achieved thanks to the actions implemented by the project in the cities that are involved. But of course the project can set the specific baseline in terms of when it should be achieved, ideally by the end of the project, which very likely will also be matching with the deadline for the city's mission, the missions in the cities in the mission, which is 2030, because very likely projects will not start before mid or end of next year. So we are already towards the end of 2026, and an average project length of 3 years, depending on how the project, of course, is proposed and structured, would lead anyway not later than 2030. So to sum up, proposers can set, let's say, their specific dates. There is flexibility built in, but we have seen also in previous actions with on similar activities that these targets are rather feasible within the timeline of projects. So from the start and by the end of the project.
Thank you, KG. Now, a question to Maria and Fragiskos on the artificial intelligence topic and whether or not cities that already use digital twin solutions should participate. I don't know if you want to take the question, Maria or Fragiskos.
I think Fragiskos wants to take up this question. He's the co-pen. But if I don't see, I will. If I don't see a reply, I can go on, and then Fragiskos can complement. So as I said, the requirement for this topic is at least 3 cities from three different member states, one of them being one of the 112 cities mission. And also we recommended in the scope that proponents and proposals liaise and build on existing digital twins. So other cities using already digital twins is of added value, is beneficial, and of course this is then to be judged by the pen holders of the proposal and the consortium. So if Fragiskos wants to complement on this, this is my reply.
Yes, I mean, it's there could be different digital twins can be used for different things. So you can have a city that is already having digital twin solution, and this can be further enhanced with AI. One thing is this, and then or in a different area they can propose a digital twin solution. So I think it's but it's also good to base on the things that the cities that they participated to enhance the existing solutions also with AI.
Thank you. There is also, you have on the screen here a question to you as well on whether or not we can provide an example of this reference to tested, implemented, and calibrated, and whether this sounds like more of an outcome or an output of the project. So I don't know if you want to take that question.
Yes, I will try to answer. So if it's an output and outcome, it's both. A practical example, let me think. Let's say, for example, we have a traffic flow digital twin. And what does it mean testing, implement it, and calibrate it? So, for example, testing, you validate against the digital twins that you have developed, against historical data. You do stress testing, another type of stressing, cross-validation. So you can test if a model trained in one city can accurately predict traffic in a similar size and type of city. So this could be activities that you can foresee over testing. The implementation is when you really operate and you deploy the system in real life. You integrate with other systems. And with regards to calibration, is what you do after a system is put in operation. You always need to adjust the system, to adjust the parameters based on what you learned in the operational use of the system. So I don't know if this it answers. I think I answered to all the parts of the question.
Thank you, Fragiskos. Yeah, I think you have a follow-up question, Laura. Do you want to take it on the sectoral actors?
Yes, thank you, Philippe. So indeed, I had mentioned that maybe it's a fair assumption that the industrial sector that the applicants choose will be plugged in to some extent in the energy sector, the building sector, and the transport sector. In the topic text, we give some additional examples of how those connections across sectors might look. For instance, linking with the urban planning, the spatial planning sector doesn't seem like a stretch. They would, of course, want to make maybe more sustainable or efficient use of land and of the existing building stock. I think another fair assumption could be that digitalization, for instance, and data enhancement should be considered as appropriate and where needed. Overall, I think the underlying thinking should be that we are trying to expand the mindscape, the approach to what people consider the problem owners, right? It's not your problem, it's our shared problems, but also to expand the circle of gains from these activities, right? So shared ownership, enlarged ownership, but also shared gains and increased gains for all sectors from these interventions.
Thank you, Laura. And Elena, I'm going to turn to you now regarding these questions on the PCP and the difference between what we do in the PCP and what we do in the traditional public procurement. Would you like to take that question?
Yes, thank you. So the PCP focuses on co-development of innovative solutions that do not yet exist. So whereas the traditional procurement buys existing products. And PCP allows cities to shape the market, test prototypes, and de-risk future investments. This means that they can assign a couple of companies to work on the same towards the same innovative solution rather than procuring from just one company. Then the other positive part is the development of the local innovation system. PCP is outside of the procurement framework, and this means that the local industry could be innovation system could be simulated by just choosing EU companies, in fact. So these are some of the differences.
Thank you. Well, this topic on PCP seems to trigger the attention of quite a number of participants. You have another question, which is practical and philosophical on the participation of smaller cities to a PCP process. So I don't know how you want to address that.
Well, we are requiring a consortium of participants. So by joining a consortium led by more experienced city, a smaller city can actually gain a lot of experience and join with more limited resources. We require collaboration. And they can actually contribute to real-life testing and benefit from the shared resources and peer learning from those that have already done it and have more resources.
Thank you. So now that you have the floor, you can keep it because you have another question on the risks for cities engaging in PCPs.
Yes, so the risks are quite some, as we mentioned, the administrative complexities, the results are uncertain. There is no certainty that there will be innovative solution developed, capacity gaps from the question of the small cities. So this can be mitigated by partnering with experienced procurers, getting support from the city's mission platform, who can advise on the process and the procedure. Also structuring the process with clear milestones and market engagement to see what is available there.
Thank you. But we can also say that the financial risks are limited because of the fact that through the grant we cover 100% of the cost.
Exactly. Yes.
So I think that's something which is very important for the cities to know, is that at the end of the day, we take the risk for you. So at least the financial risk. So it should be very attractive. And we expect hundreds of proposals. Maybe not hundreds, but at least we would love quite many proposals to be submitted to this PCP call. I'm looking at the questions. Maybe just to alternate a little bit, can we move back to the mobility topic on the classification between lead and follower cities? KG, do you want to take the question?
Yes, no strict classification per se. Indeed, one city can be leading in the cycling infrastructure and lagging behind in the walking infrastructure or other aspects. So proposers can, of course, choose the mix that is most suitable. I would say that the most important thing is that it is explained well in the topic, because indeed the idea is to also, pass on and build on experiences and expertise. So and then register improvements and increasing the uptake of active mobility. So if we have all champions already, that will be, of course, a bit difficult. So overall, I think that the proposers can explain that well, and the cities can be indeed leader in one specific area, but still following another. So let's say the final orchestration, it's quite up to the proposers to decide.
Thank you, KG. Now back to artificial intelligence. Two questions actually to you guys. One on eligibility requirements regarding the location of those cities that are participating in the project. So if you could answer that question, either Maria or Fragiskos, and then something a little bit more specific on data management plan, I suppose. And there I'm very happy that you are connected to this info session, because I would be completely unable to answer that question. So who wants to start?
Yes, I will start. Thank you, Philippe. I will start with the first question, and then the second will be taken up by Fragiskos. So the question is, can two cities be from the same country? It is clearly explained in the requirements that it should be at least three cities, each one from a different member state or associated country. So at least three cities, each one from a different member state. So I think that applies there in the requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Fragiskos, on data management?
Yes, on the data management. So it's important that the proposals include foresee to have data management actions during the running of the project, because we need whatever it is developed to be able to be used by different and be reused. So it's very important to describe what data they collect, what type of data, and how do they manage this data. Now, on the specific question, the data management plan, there is no specific template, so it will depend on the project. So the proposers need to take into account that data management actions would be part of their work and what they need to propose, and it's up to them to describe it in the proposal the way that they find it best. And of course, the data management plan is something that they could include in the project. So they would, in the proposal, it will be a general description of the action, but they could propose that they will deliver also a data management plan during the project if they have been selected.
Thank you very much. So I have to say we are doing very well. We have not found yet a question to which we cannot answer. So we should keep that that record. Back to Laura, Lucy, on the TRL level for the circularity topic. It's an innovation action, but did we specify the TRL level by any chance?
Indeed, thank you to the participants for catching that omission in the slides. This being an innovation action, of course, we expect a moderate to high, let's say, technology readiness level. For this topic, we have fixed it as TRL 6 to 8. So that takes you from a technology demonstrated in a relevant environment, of course, to the possibility of reaching a prototype demonstration, right? That it's already operational, or hopefully some of them will reach the level of a system that is complete and qualified. I would refer you to General Annex B of Horizon Europe, where you have this TRL explained in details. There is also information on this on the funding and funding and tender portal. And of course, our research inquiry services, which I think we will refer to in the end, are always happy to answer specific questions like this. Maybe on a related note, because of the level of the TRLs, too many acronyms. Since we are looking at demonstrations and prototypes, right, or even the possibility of having qualified systems at the end of this action, there are two related requirements in the topic. The first one, which I already mentioned, is that the projects look very early on in the possibility of financing follow-up. And here, of course, we suggested them to approach as a priority the Climate City Capital Hub of our Net Zero Emission platform, and colleagues from the Circular Cities and Regions Initiative also offer financial advisory services. So that's a good place to start in the journey to identify funding. And another, let's say, enabler of reaching those TRL levels during the project life and after would be to also develop this support at regional and national levels. And that support can take many forms. It could be in the forms of partnerships being set in place, in terms of regulatory support, creating the enabling environment for these activities to take place. It could come in terms of subsidies or economic incentives at regional and national level. So all of this governance, finance, and TRL in this topic are in a way bundled, because all these elements together and only together can, I think, ensure a successful delivery of activities.
Yeah, this is a very good point, Laura. Thank you for making it indeed, and the link with the financial advisory services as well, including the one from CCRI. Looking at the questions, so there are some follow-up questions on eligibility requirements regarding the artificial intelligence topic. I don't know if you want to close the discussion and answer the question on that point regarding the composition of the, not necessarily the consortium, but the cities participating in the proposals. So Maria, Franciscos, any one of you?
Yes, I can go back, Philip, to the eligibility criterion. I understand there are 3 cities, but we clearly say in the eligibility criterion that they should be these 3 cities, 4 cities, or at least the 3 cities out of the 4. Let's take it like that, should be coming from 3 different member states or associated country to Horizon Europe. So I think it's clearly replied to my view, unless you wanted to add something.
No, thank you. Thank you. And then you have a question. I can only read out the question. Do the cities need to be active in the EU LTD toolbox development or linked somehow to the Smart Cities network? We found a question to which we do not have an answer. It's for you, Maria or Franciscos. I think the fact that we are not jumping to reply to the question is a sign that we need to reflect a little bit more on what could be the answer to that question. So we leave it to that at this stage. We'll see.
I think, Philippe, sorry, thank you for. I mean, it is a toolbox that it's developed, and we did. I think in the call we haven't put it as a requirement. So of course, in the call we say that previous developments, etc., and reusing existing tools are important. So I think without knowing the details of the LTD toolbox, we can say that if you are active in a previous project, it's something that will be taken into account.
in the evaluation indeed.
Yes, so there is no, the question is, do the cities need to be active in the EU LTD or linked somehow to the Smart Cities Network? So two different, and in my opinion, it's of course an advantage. It will be considered by the evaluators, basically.
Thank you.
In relation to what kind of involvement they have in these activities.
But there is no pre-requirement.
Yes, exactly.
All right, thank you very much. And then the last question that I see on my screen is a question that moved up and down regularly when we were going through the questions, because I think it does not get that many votes, 0 being very small number indeed. But I will reply to that question myself. So will the SGA3 be the object of an open call for proposals? The answer is no. SGA calls are not subject to open call for proposals because we identify the beneficiary before through the selection of the consortium that responded to the call for the framework partnership agreement. So there is a sequence there. We select the consortium of the FPA, and then we can launch SGA, specific grant agreements. So they are not open call for proposals, but the proposals are evaluated. So it's like for named beneficiaries, you still invite the beneficiary to submit, to prepare and submit a proposal, and that proposal is evaluated by independent experts. Do I understand that we have gone through the list of all the questions that were put to us in Slido? It seems to be the case. So if you have a burning question, I would really invite you to put it on Slido now. Otherwise, you may risk to lose your chance of getting an answer to that question, at least today. In any case, so I'm just going to, yes, good to see that there is a question that just came in at the last second so that we can address it. And that question is to KG. So we could not leave the Slido session without.
Of course not. At the end of the day, there need to be at least 10 cities from different member states. So if you want to put more, we are welcome. So you need to sort out the orchestration with that. But the previous question was if a city can be both, can be a leader in something and a follower in other things. Yes. I think the bottom line is that we want at least to have 10 cities in the consortium. And then let's say the whole geography and mapping of what is a leader, what is a follower in what, I think we leave up to the proposer to do. But I would say that we need to stick to the number of 10 at least in different member states or associated countries.
Thank you, KG. So I believe you will have the last question for this info day session. And I don't think there is any more question. I'm just looking also at my screen. It doesn't seem to be the case. So we have completed the round of question and answers for this info session of the Work Forum 2025 for the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission. Before we close, and I thank all the participants and my colleagues for their intervention, I would like that we go back to the slides because there is a last slide that I would like to show to you, which concerns the brokerage event that will be organized by the NCP network for the missions, and it's coming up. So that NCP network, if we go through all the slides, yes. So that's just a recap, a very quick recap of all the activities that we have in the Work Program 2025. And then we move now to the slide on the brokerage event. So this brokerage event is organized on the 26th and the 27th of May as an online event. It's organized by the NCP for Missions network. And there will be a number of sessions. There is a plenary session with practical information to successfully navigate the 2025 Horizon Europe mission calls. There will be bilateral meetings to present expertise, project ideas, and explore collaboration opportunities. And there will also be a long-term matchmaking phase that will follow the event and remain active until the closure of the calls. And you may have noticed that the calls that we have in the work program 2025 do not close all at the same time. Of course, if you want more information, you are more than welcome to click on the official web page of the NCP network, and you will have more information on this brokerage event. I really invite you to participate to this brokerage event because it will give you first-hand information from the NCPs on the topics that we have in the work programs, and also provide you with the opportunity to exchange and interact with other potential proposals. I think we have gone through the slides we wanted to present to you. We went through the question and answers in the Slido session. Before I thank you very much for your participation, I should also highlight the fact that if you have any further questions, you are more than invited to visit the funding and tender portals that you have the link here too. You have to check also the frequently asked questions that are posted in the funding and participant portal. You can contact, if you have any questions, the Research Inquiry Service. The link is there on that slide. And of course, you can contact your national contact points. If you have more information, and if you wish to have more information on the climate neutral and smart cities mission activity beyond what we do in the work program, I really invite you also to look at the web page that we have for that purpose. And I presented to you the state of play of the implementation of the mission at the beginning of this Info Day session, but there is much more. So I really invite you to go through these pages to have a look so that you are fully informed of what we do in the cities mission. On that last note, I would like now to thank my colleagues for having presented their topics, for having answered the questions, and for having kept the time. I would like to thank the participants of this session for also posting the questions that we answered. And I thank you very much for this, and I wish you a very good day. Goodbye.